Saints and Aints. Welcome back to another episode of the Music and Makeup Podcast. This episode, I am celebrating the 30th anniversary of Smif-n-Wesson's The Shining, reviewing music from Boldy James and Ransom. And on the makeup, I'm going to be trying Huda Beauty's new Ube Birthday Cake Setting Powder and Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Flush in the shade Dancing Queen. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So on the eyeshadow today, I'm using the Pat McGrath Mothership 5 palette. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite palettes. We are going to start using this shade here. I do not have the card that had the names of all the shades, but it's this here. It's like a bit of a brown, and I'm going to use that all over the lid. Now, before I do that, let me put a little concealer or something on my eyes so that it'll sit a little bit better. And I'm going to use the Danessa Myrics Lift and Flex Concealer in the shade 14. Okay, and then just using my Sephora Pro Concealer 71 brush, I'm just going to tap that in there. And to apply the eyeshadow, I'm going to use the My Kitco 1.5 My Small Shadow Brush. So now I'm going to go in with my tapered blending brush. This is just a generic brush I got off of Amazon. And I'm going to use this shade right here to blend out the edges. And then we are going to talk about the Shining. I cannot believe it's been 30 years since Smif-n-Wesson's debut album, The Shining, dropped. Primarily because to me, 1995 just seems like it was 10 years ago. But it was 30 years ago that album dropped. It really made a shift and an impression in the culture. Now, this album was a very big part of my high school experience. It came out my freshman year. This album was one of my favorites in high school. It was very much a part of my getting ready in the morning experience and getting ready to go to bed at night. Because they would often play a few tracks of this on the radio. So I would be scrambling, because this is before streaming, I would be scrambling to try to hit record on the tape deck to catch the songs as they were being played on the radio. And I'm just going to put just a little, just to deepen the crease, just a smidge here. This was a very big album, at least at my high school, Soundboy Burial in particular. It was something about that song that just would spur people to want to freestyle, where they would come on and sometimes they would just let the beat ride, and that's when folks want to jump in a cipher and start rhyming. This album is really attached to some of my fondest memories. So now I'm gonna add a little shimmer. I'm thinking I'm going to use this shade right here, and I'm just going to use it in the middle of the eye. And I'm going to wet my brush a little bit. I find with shimmers, glitters, and all that, it's easier to pick up that way. So, of course, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the album, they did have a celebration at the Brooklyn Monarch, and guests included Havoc from Mobb Deep, Teray, Tony Touch, and many more. And on that same day, I believe, they also made the announcement that they had new music coming. On the 21st of February, they are dropping a new project called Infinity. It's entirely produced by Ninth Wonder and the Soul Council, and they've already released their first single, Infinity, produced by Crisis. It is out now along with the video, so go check that out. I have put a link to them in the description. If you've already heard them, let me know what you think. All right, so let's jump into some of these new releases that I've been feeling. I'm gonna start off with Boldy James and Who the Hell is Carlo and their new project, Hidden in Plain Sight. And it's a 7-track album with features from Conway the Machine, Styles P, Z Loopers, and King Hendrix. I wanted to address one thing before I jumped into the review of this album, and it's a critique that I've been seeing online that Boldy is dropping too much music too close together. Now, if you go back to before Boldy's car accident, he said in a number of interviews that he had been recording a lot and that he had a lot of music that he was going to drop that upcoming year. I have a feeling that the accident probably, got in the way of some scheduling, and what we are hearing now is a lot of that music. So I knew we were gonna have a lot coming from him in the upcoming years, because he said he had been recording like non-stop. So Nicholas Craven was saying that they just wrapped up an album. So I mean, if you're tired of him, you're gonna be exhausted, because the man been working. But all of that aside, my advice when you have an artist or one of your faves puts out like a lot of music like this at once, pace yourself. There's nothing saying you gotta listen to all of these albums right now. I like to live with an album for a little bit before I jump into the next one, but it's nothing saying that you have to go listen because he dropped one out. It's just however you prefer to consume your music, but it by no means you gotta rush through and listen and not really absorb each project. Hidden in Plain Sight, I really been feeling this. I haven't gotten a chance to check out his joint with Rich Gaines. I'm gonna jump into that because I did see that Double D has some features on there, and I was saying I wanted to hear more of her after the Brictionary. I'll say this, what I have heard from like the Rich Gaines project and this, listen, the quality is there. He hasn't missed a beat. There's no lazy lyrics. There's nothing I've heard and been like, oh, he phoned that in. So that's my only advice. If you feel like he's dropping a lot, just pace yourself. Listen to one project at a time, and when you're ready to move on to the next one, it'll be there for you. So that being said, let's jump into the song Hidden in Plain Sight, featuring Conway the Machine and Styles P, is one of my favorite songs from off of this album. The production on this is absolutely perfect because Boldy, Conway, and Styles P all have different types of flows, and this beat just suits all three. It does, nothing sounds forced or out of place. And the line, hopping out the van with 3 Ks, we be Ku Kluxing, is crazy. I told y'all in the episode I did about Boldy that he is gonna be good for giving you a good pew pew analogy, and I'm gonna put this one in the books because I was like, what? I didn't run that one back. This Hidden in Plain Sight is available on all streaming platforms. I have linked it in the description box. Go check it out and let me know what you. For the blush today, I'm using Danessa Myrics Blurring Balm Flush, and I'm using the shade Dancing Queen. It's like a really dark raisin plum type color. I am in love with these type color blushes. I think I am a plum or red blush girly for life. I was on pink really bad, but nah, I think plums, reds, all that, those are my jam. I'm just going here and tap with this brush, and I like my blush because I'm a little older. I like my blush high and tight. This is just a tip for anybody who was born in the late 1900s. Our days of putting our blush on the apples of our cheek have left us. The reason why is because the apples of our cheeks may not sit so high and tight anymore. So if you're smiling and putting them up there, you've lifted the cheeks up, and then when you put your face down, it's gonna drop. And so then you end up with blush down at the bottom of your face, and it just drags your face down. There's no other way for me to tell you. It's just gonna drag your face down. So high and tight, I do my blush like starting right here at the tail of my brow, and I go no further than the middle of my eye. Any further than that, sometimes you can bring it over for, you know, if you like a good under the eye blush, but just for me, no further than the middle of my eye. And so I know this seems very highly concentrated, but I'm gonna blend this out. It is a lot, Jesus. I don't worry too much about the pigment because I'm gonna A, blend this out, and then 2, it's gonna get covered by the concealer. I'm going to go in using the Sephora Pro Contour 79 brush and just start blending this out. Next up, we got new music from Ransom. He dropped an album called Cabrini Green, about 7 tracks, featuring production from Cinema Graffiti, Question Mark, Made in Tokyo, and my personal favorite, Nicholas Craven. When I heard Nicholas Craven was on this project, my ears perked up because, as I mentioned in previous episodes, I love Ransom and Nicholas Craven together. They Live is one of my favorite songs, still bump it to this day. I love the Director's Cut series, so when I heard they was working together on this, I got excited. Now I'm going to go under my eye and highlight using the Danessa Myrics Lift and Flex Concealer. I'm going to use 2 shades. I'm going to use 12 on the inner corner of my eye and then 14 everywhere else. To blend this in using the Danessa Myricks My Kitco My Yummy Base Flat Brush, my favorite brush in my kit. And I'm just going to go on the outside first because it gives it, I don't know, I feel like it gives it more of a diffused look. And then I'll go back in with my Sephora 71 brush. Despite this album having multiple producers, it doesn't sound all over the place and the production is super soulful, which I think Ransom does really well over these type of beats. Let's jump into what it is that I loved about this album. I already said that I like hearing him and Nicholas Craven together, so it should be no surprise that Where To, which is playing now, is one of my favorite songs from off of this. Another song that I like from off of here is Give Enough featuring JR, and production is by Made in Tokyo. I say that because the beat for this song is like the first thing that really pulled me in. I really like how he let the synth like just go at the end and really just let like the beat ride out. More of that when the beat is so good, it's like I just want to hear a little bit. Yeah, let that jank ride out. Let it play, baby. Like that. The beat gave me like Love Don't Live Here Anymore vibes. I would not mind just getting like the instrumental of this. Y'all know how I am about a good instrumental version of anything. Cabrini Green is now out on all streaming platforms. I have linked it in the description box. Go check it out and let me know what you think. I'm going to set my under eye using the Pat McGrath Sublime Skin Under Eye Powder. All right, so now I'm going to go, now that I've set my under eye with the pressed powder, I'm going to go in with the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder in the shade Ube Birthday Cake. Bake under the eye a little bit. Now I'm going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Pressed Powder and put that everywhere else, or where I put skin tint rather. This step has made a huge difference in my makeup. And while I set my makeup, I was just thinking about something that I saw on TikTok. It's a lady's video, I cannot find it, but it was a woman saying, you know, as a millennial, she was to her capacity for music. She just didn't have the space to discover new music, basically. She just did not have the capacity, and there were other people in the comments like agreeing with her. I just want to say, as an infant Gen Xer and a geriatric millennial, I really want to caution against that. Now, I used to be very much like that. And when I say used to be, this was maybe only probably up till 2017, 2018. I was much like that. All I wanted was 95 era hip hop. I didn't want to listen to nothing else. I just did not like the direction that hip hop was going in, or so I thought. And just said, well, I'm not listening to no more new music. This is what I'll be bumping forever. And had I done that, I'm gonna tell you all the music I would have never gotten into. Griselda, would have never gotten into Rock Marciano, would have never gotten into Boldy James, would have never gotten into Jay Versace, would have never gotten into China Streets, would have never gotten into Rome Streets, would have never gotten into Monday Night, would have never gotten into Nitty Blanco, would have never gotten into the Mutant Academy. The list goes on and on. I would have missed out on all of this good music that I picked up on over the last 8-9 years. I would have missed it. So don't close yourself off musically. I just feel like when we say I'm not listening to anything else, it stunts our growth. All right, now I'm going to go in with the Huda Beauty setting powder in the shade Cinnamon Bun. Everywhere else. I'm just gonna go and put some bronzer around the perimeter of my face. I like that. I feel like it gives me like a warm halo type look. I like to go here, put some on the temples. This might be okay with blush, but I'm just gonna kind of set it, bring just a little bit of blush back with the Pat McGrath blush in the shade Paradise Venus. Just a smidgen. Just a little bit. Because I used enough blush this time, I didn't have to go back around. So now I'm going to bring all this back to skin using the MAC Fix Plus spray. I got to refill this bottle. I'm going to shoot a video later on doing that. But so what I do is really just drench this sponge and pat it across my face. Okay, child is struggling. I gotta refill this. I love this spray. It just melts all that powder so everything is to skin. Alright, Saints and Aints, it's time for my favorite part of my makeup routine, the lip combo. Not too much on the lips right now. I prep them using the Huda Beauty setting powder in the shade Sugar Cookie. I do that because and just for a little extra shine, I'm going to go in with the NYX Butter Gloss, and this is in the shade Brownie Drip. I don't know if this is a new shade. I've never seen this. But it looks like a little darker than Praline. Now I'm going back in with the NYX Butter Gloss, and this is in the shade Lava Cake. Favorite step 2 in my lip combo. So I just feel like lining the liner, giving it a little gloss, gives it a little pop. But I love how this turned out. Nice brown pinky lip. This has been like my go-to lip combo for like the last couple weeks. Now I'm gonna just kind of clean this up around the sides with some concealer. I just feel like it makes everything look a little bit more crispy when I do that. And just a little bit of concealer. You don't need a whole bunch. You just want it to look crisp and clean up a little of the excess. Okay, much better. All right, Saints and Aints, this is the final look. I'm really impressed with how everything turned out, especially the lip combo and the eyeshadow. All the makeup that I used today and the music that I mentioned will all be tagged in the description box. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Music and Makeup. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. Till next time, Saints and Aints, love you. Bye.